Before we jump in, if you're looking for something to anchor your quiet time this season, my book, Fear Not 365 Days of Courage, was written just for you. Daily scripture, daily courage, daily reminder that God is with you. Grab it at hopelightwonder.com. Now let's go.
Welcome to Joyful Purpose Season 3, Walking Through Life with God's Steady Hand, where we discover how God's steady hand leads us through every season, the joys, the heartbreaks, and the in-betweens. I'm your host, Sheila, a wife, a mom, and a storyteller, learning just like you to walk closely with Jesus in the everyday. This season, we're slowing down to talk about the moments that shape us most, when we face loss, when we're raising little humans, and when life changes faster than we can plan. Each conversation this season will remind us that even when our hearts are unsteady, God's hand never is. Today's episode holds space for both loss and love. My guest is someone whose life has been woven with grace and gratitude. For more than 40 years, Judy Connolly has poured her heart into teaching, shaping generations of students not just in French, but in faith, character, and courage. Her classroom was never just about vocabulary and verbs, it was about values. She's walked beside families through laughter and loss, celebrated milestones, and reminded every student that they're deeply seen and deeply loved by God. Now, as she steps into a new season of retirement, Judy joins us to share her reflections on loss, motherhood, and what it means to trust God's steady hand through every transition. Thank you for being here, Judy. I know your story carries both pain and redemption, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I was really filled with gratitude and surprise.
Well, I am so excited to have this conversation with you. We're going to start by sharing a little about you and a little about maybe season of loss and how your faith looked like in the middle of it all.
Okay. I grew up as the oldest of seven and therefore in the family in which I grew up was very obedient and people pleasing. And I kind of got the idea in my mind that if I did everything right, that would please God and everything would work out. And so little things happened along the way, but the biggest first loss was when my mother passed. And I couldn't believe it, like she's a good person. She's done all the, and then I felt guilty for questioning God. And then it was, I was grieving the fact that I didn't know her better. And I felt like some siblings maybe did that were younger because she was less stressed as the adults grew and moved out of home. And so it was very helpful for me at the time to just say, you know what, you profess a faith in God. You profess that you know Jesus is your elder brother, way shower, savior. Where is that faith now? Why aren't you putting it into action? And I really felt the hand of God on me. I felt like Jesus just kind of reassured me, like, really, yes, I understand your pain, but what is that to you? Because she's fine. And so release her, because you doing what you're doing is kind of holding on, and she has moved on in her journey into the heavenly realms, and she's good. So you work on being good, being good with God.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. How did redemption play a role here for you? What helped you? What helped you heal? Is it time, community?
It's a combination, Sheila, because time is an ultimate healer in so many ways, but really time is human invented. So really we call it time, but it's God. It's grace and mercy. It's being grateful for the years that we did have together. Grateful for funny memories, for poignant memories. One year, my dad surprised her with a guitar at Christmas and she started crying, and it was just so tender, so touching, to see her in that state. So it was kind of changing focus, really, allowing God to be in charge instead of trying to control, because that's been a recurring theme. Every time I think I've gotten better, and you talked about that word redemption, I still try to take it back. So
if you were to talk to people today and help them understand things about grief and God's presence, what would you say?
I wish I knew the full answer for you, because I still feel like I'm a practitioner rather than an expert. Because in the years since, with my dad and in-laws, and then a brother-in-law, and then a sister, I feel as though each time this happens in my life that I am taken to a deeper understanding and a closer alignment with the fact that one of my songs music is a big deal for me, is that idea that into thy hands I commit my spirit, my will is thy will, heal me at death so that I may glorify God. And it's just, the fact that God's will is what my will has to be. God's will, and not to try to figure it out, not to try to control it. It's part of the cycle of life, and it's not my decision when people come into my life, when people leave my life, and what form that takes. So I would tell people to, as much as possible, practice being in the presence of God, which is, in my opinion, a form of self-care. I mean, right now I'm sitting in a room that used to be one of our sons that I've converted into a prayer room, because it's a good place for me to be. It's a good place for me to be centered and focused. So giving yourself that gift of quiet and receptivity, because my number one prayer over and over is for guidance, because I can give it a lot of other names, but that's what it comes down to, is shut up and listen. God has something good to say.
Yeah, and it's often quiet whispers. So, you have to quiet yourself to be able to listen and to be able to act and be obedient about it, right? I think putting yourself in that posture, absolutely spending time with God helps you put yourself in that posture of obedience and listening. So thank you for sharing that. So on that, how has your story shaped the way you comfort others when they're going through something like this?
I believe it was this hunger in me to make a difference and to nurture, and knowing all that I experience with God at the helm, the joy, the deep peace, the relief at times, like, I don't have to figure this all out. Please don't get me wrong, I still go there. But I catch myself more frequently and more quickly. I feel as though, because I came at it that way, that my tendency then with others, I pay close attention. I watch people. I watch and listen, because words don't always match the actions. And so watching and sensing, it gets to the point where I can just feel the light or the absence of it in a person, and then try to start with that. And in teaching, especially getting into the public schools, it was never a thing where I could just share my testimony out in a classroom. But more times than I could count, after a while, it would be a combination of factors of a lot of times just students saying, "You're always so happy. How come you're always so happy?" And I would say, well, first of all, I'm not always so happy. I still feel anger. I still feel frustration. I still feel sadness. But at the end of the day, I know where I'm going. And so I have peace. And that would get them to ask me. And so I'd say, we'll talk after class. And then the other would be that I was always at my door, both to say goodbye and to say hello. And so you can get a good read on somebody as you're greeting them. and say, hey, what's the matter? You seem kind of down, and just making sure to be present. So that desire to nurture and impact has been a kind of a reoccurring theme throughout life, probably to the dismay of my sons at sometimes, and the in-laws and the nieces and nephews that go, oh, there she is, there's Judy, there's mom.
Well, that's the best quality I like about you. So please don't give that up. And also, I think you referred to this a couple of times now, that you go back to leaning on God, right? I think none of us are perfect. There's only one perfect person. And I think for us, we will always fall short.
Yeah.
Right? But our purpose in life is to glorify the Lord. And every one of us has our callings. And, clearly me doing this podcast is a calling that I never thought I would do. But in order to glorify Him and share this purpose with as many people as I possibly can, without, as you also know, I'm an introvert. So this is something that God has called me to do outside of my comfort zone. And it is very hard to obey when it's outside of your comfort zone. So have you experienced stuff like that, where it's outside of your comfort zone, where you go and do something that, okay, Lord, I'm listening, but this is going to be hard. I need your strength. Okay, how are you going to equip me?
Yes. One of the prime experiences was deciding that we were going to give a go at a network marketing adventure. We went into it very trepidatiously, thinking, I don't know though, are these really legit? Are they scams? And so then we were doing all kinds of research and all the earthly things that are practical and needed and necessary, all following guidance of God. Like, okay, here's what Spirit told me. We need to, check this source, or we need to do this. And we got to the point of saying, okay, there really is nothing to risk. So what are we hesitating over now? And then it was to face the fact that we feared we'd be rejected. Because for me, being a person who's nurturing, I in turn receive a lot of blessing from that. And this was a different forum, because this was people kind of looking strange that you would even bring up this topic, all the way to maybe tracking along, and then what the younger people seem to call ghosting these days, just like dropping off the face of the earth, and thinking, oh, okay, why would they even give me their number if they had no intention to follow through? And so it's been kind of strange to us, because lo and behold, what started as a venture to add income with which we would then bless the church, knowing the church had some growth plans, has become a ministry in and of itself, not just for a huge cause that we could contribute to, but just in our own lives, that we have been able to lead people to Christ, because when they have opened their hearts and minds, and then they go to an event with us, there's an optional Sunday service, it has become just amazing. And so that, I would never have predicted that in the beginning. I think our reasons were, just a little more selfish, because even the idea to contribute to the church was, good job, or something. And now it's just so much more humbling to realize we're being used. We are vessels and instruments for people, and that means more than any dollar that could come into our bank account.
Absolutely. You're collecting wealth in heavenly dollars. So, every person that comes to Jesus, right, is part of your wealth that, you're going to be counting in heaven. Awesome. So before we keep going, I always love asking, what's one small, totally ordinary thing that brings you joy right now?
Working with Fiona. She's my sourdough starter. I honestly, it's just, there's something about the pulling and stretching, and then the, folding in under that. I'm very present, which is a huge thing for me. because there are times where I wish I would shut off my mind, like especially waking up at 2 a.m. and then feeling like, oh, now I'm not falling back asleep because now I'm thinking about this situation or this thing, or oh, even if it's a good thing, like, oh, I know this is what we could do for Christmas, and like it really, I just work with it, and it's been amazing. I didn't know I would get that blessing out of that.
Yeah, sourdough teaches you patience. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you on using your talents, right? In the right amount at the right time, because sourdough can totally die on you if you don't use it at the right time. But also you can overfeed it and it'll still die, right? So it's that subtle balance, and it teaches you a lot by just being present. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to enter our next segment, parenting. It humbles us. It teaches us about grace.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we are teaching our kids about grace, and the very next day we're desperately needing it, right? And you've said in our conversations, parenting doesn't stop, and it definitely embedded in my head, and you said it just changes shape. I think that's what you said. How has God met you in that transition from raising to releasing? Because I know you have grown children,
Yes.
and like you said, they've left home. So how has God helped you with that transition?
I think God had, well, I don't even want to just say I think, I know that God has helped when I kind of surprised myself and realized I haven't worried about them for, whatever amount of time, like, oh, that's good. And it's not to say that challenging things aren't happening in their lives, and sometimes some really deeply painful things and hurtful things that I would get myself so enmeshed with before, and trying to keep the perspective of, like, Joseph. Think about the story of Joseph in Genesis, right? You meant it for evil, God meant it for good. I was supposed to come to Egypt first. This was God that brought me here, not you. You're thinking it's because you sold me into slavery. That's kind of the story that inspires me when it comes to the grown adult sons, because that's the idea that I thought we had done a pretty decent job of parenting. When things started to go a little south in different instances, I was taking blame. And then it was kind of like, I'm sitting in prayer one morning, and I happened to open sometimes I'll do this, I'll open my Bible, let's just see what comes. And it was Joseph. And I thought, okay, God, great sense of humor, because I had that realization, like, okay, first of all, like you yourself said, like, I know no parent is perfect. My own parents were not perfect. I certainly went through things with them, and then also went and asked their forgiveness for times I might have criticized them, and cried and told them that I appreciated so much about them, and was able to tell them that. And I'm so grateful I got to do that before either one of them was gone. And so the memory of that and his story, just freed me, like, listen, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time, and maybe sometimes you even purposely didn't do what you knew to do, and you can also be forgiven for that. And I've apologized to these adult sons, and now when things are happening, I reach out for prayer support, and I do what I feel is mine to do, but then that's it, because this is their journey with God.
One way Robert and I have looked at it is we're borrowing them from God, and we're going to give them back to God. So I hope we give them back in a better place than when
Right.
they came to us.
Absolutely.
Right? So at least that's what we hope, but we'll see.
Oh, you're wonderful parents.
Oh, thank you. So what surprised you most about this season of parenting?
I think what surprised me the most was that they were so fun to discover, like to see the world through their eyes. Like I think because of the way that I was parented, and obviously it's a lot of that is generational as well. I said before, the people pleasing, like I have to be obedient. And as the oldest, I was helping change diapers of younger siblings. And so just being very responsible and doing the free babysitting for my parents and all that. And so some of the things I wanted to evolve in my own parenting was to allow more space for them. For example, we would tell them, you know what, your room is your space. If you want to keep it messy, that's fine. But here's the rule. You have to have a clear path from the door to the bed and to the window in case of emergencies. Other than that, so on a kind of funny level. And it was so surprising to really have that stop us in our tracks to just listen to the things that they would decide to share, or an inspiration they had and they'd be teaching us. That was just so uplifting because it had not been my experience, and that is a conversation I regret not having with my mom. I did get to have that with my dad, where he said, "I never realized what decent people my kids were." So,
Well, that's a compliment.
Right. But I mean, I think that was the biggest surprise, and it was such a joy, and it's so humbling because Tom and I feel the same. They were never ours to begin with. They were on loan, and we can do the best we can with what we try to plant in them, but they're also going to make choices. They're going to go through painful things that we can't fix, and we really shouldn't take away from them because it's going to be part of their story. So.
Which is great, because I think my next question was about how do you balance guiding and giving space, and I think this is one of the best examples. I think you read my mind. So on a different note, how do prayers look different for you now compared to when they were kids?
When they were little, living at home, we had different traditions, and it was such a blend because both of us grew up Catholic, so there were prayers we knew from Catholic stuff, and we would go to a mass on a Saturday night, but then we'd go to a non-denominational Christian church on a Sunday. I'm sure our sons would have stories to tell about that. And so then there was also just more open-hearted conversation, or asking Jesus to show the way. And then we started a tradition of candle time every night, and we bought a Hug-a-Planet. If you're familiar with that product, I don't know if they still make them, and it's a squeezable ball, spherical fabric ball that has all the countries and the oceans and everything on it. And we would hug that, and we would pass it around, and we would ask if there were certain people or situations to pray for. And so from coming from, we're going to say Hail Mary, full of grace, to that, they got an overabundance of prayer, probably as children, which is maybe part of the story of, at one point, one of them said, well, I'm done with the church stuff. I mean, people are kind of two-faced, and I'm just in the God of nature. And now that very same son that said that is over the top volunteering, part of ministries of going to pick up remote children in the area whose parents don't even belong to the church, but at least to get the children there. So, it came back full circle.
And I know, there was loss as well for you. So how has your journey through that loss shaped the way you now love and support your grown children?
I am able to really subscribe to even what general society, I think, will say, that if something or someone is meant to be in your life, they'll be there. Maybe they're gone for a season and they're back. And if they're gone and they're not back, then that was it. It was a chapter. Not that it was never meant to be, because it was part of your story. And just like back to the Joseph story, and God intended it for good. You know, it's all right. And I think that would be my answer.
Awesome. So, as parents, and I know this because I feel it all the time, that you're failing, with different expectations that maybe they have on you or you have around yourself because of peer pressure and because of what's happening in society and culture and all of that good stuff. So how do you stay anchored in faith through all of it? And how did you, and how are you doing it today?
In the beginning, we homeschooled. And because we were both credentialed teachers in the public school system, we took a lot of grief. And so it was a whole mix about like family members who, well, we all went to public school, what's wrong with that? And, you know, the things that family will say, but just even you could tell by neighbors or somebody in a grocery store, you're there during the day and your children are there with you and it's a Tuesday. And so what the heck? And, oh, so is this a day off from school? And then they would invariably say, no, I'm homeschooled. You know, and so just being countercultural, and people said, well, then that's kind of strange. Why are you working in the public school system, but not sending your own children through it? And we would talk about the fact that, well, because we're in the system, we see what goes on and we see what's dealt with and what's not dealt with. And I'm speaking, you know, in particular districts, I hear wonderful stories about others. And so this is not a condemning of all education by any means. And there are certain individual teachers that are heroic and do great things for students, but sometimes our hands were tied. And so we made decisions like that. And I think that there were times where they were embarrassed as they got older, that they weren't like other kids. And two of them started to ask, could they please just go to public high school? And that's one of my, I don't want to even say regrets anymore, but for a long time I held guilt over that because we acquiesced, and that is where they both got introduced to interesting people, interesting choices, drugs. Now, did they still have the possibility to say no? Of course. But they wanted so badly to fit in and have friends that it has caused some things in adult life that they've both gotten to deal with. And so today, when, you know, there's this, oh my gosh, one sister of mine sends me links all the time, and there's all these things about boomer parents and what we can do with our adult children and what we really shouldn't do and what we should say or not say. And at first I would read them, after a while, like, okay, you know what? I'm not trying to meet some standard that somebody has published online that she's now shared. I know that I can sit still and in my heart decide what is okay and what's not. And when I have gone wrong or gotten too, you know, what is one of our favorite mentor / pastors back in the day, who's now retired, used to say, you've gone from preaching to meddling, you know? and so, yeah, you know, recognizing that and saying, I'm sorry, you're right. You're doing a perfectly fine job as a parent, and that's not up to me. Or, maybe I don't agree with what the fact is that the grandchildren can walk on the couches or something. But when they're at Papa and Nana's house, no, you know?
Yep, exactly.
So
each house has their rules. You know, thank you for sharing that.
I want to take a quick second before we keep going. We've been talking about the episode today, and honestly, this is exactly why I write. I have 3 books over at hopelightwonder.com that were born out of conversations just like this one. Fear Not, 365 Days of Courage is a daily devotional journal for women who are tired and living scared. Joyful Purpose will help you find the thread of meaning God has woven through your story. And Finish the Race Well is for the season when you're tired but you're not done yet. If any of those speak to where you are right now, go to hopelightwonder.com. I'd love for one of them to land in your hands at exactly the right time. Okay, back to it.
I think most of us are so afraid to go counterculture, right? But I think God is counterculture. Like, there's no way out of that, right? Because
Amen.
God says, I am the one. Culture says, you find your own identity. No, our identity is in God, as an example, right? And regarding the school systems, I think we came from the same region as you, and we've experienced it with our kids, and it was, I will say, it was very hard on our first child because he went to a public school. He lost the light and curiosity of learning. He just was losing it day by day. And the moment we transitioned him back into a Christian private school, lo and behold, everything was back, right?
Yep.
Of course, it was a period of time to get back to normalcy on what we thought his curiosity level was. And you know our kids, they're very curious.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To have that back was amazing. And we continued to pray. Even when we moved states, we continued to pray to find a place like that for them. And you know, every school has problems. Like you said, you know, every school is not perfect because we're not perfect, right?
Right.
If we were, we wouldn't rely on God as much. So I think schooling and having the right friends, and we make it a point to get to know their friends.
Yes.
They're hanging out with, why they think they're so cool, right? And why they think their parents are so cool and we're not. And
Yes.
so all of that, right, plays a role. It is just understanding. We don't do it to hold it against them or anything like that. They're exploring, they're young, their mind is moldable, and we just want to make sure it's molded the right way and for the right reasons. And it's great they have an opinion. And it's great to be all assertive as an adult. As a child, you know, you live under our roof. So, yeah. So there have been, especially now that they're getting into that preteen age, we're definitely seeing a lot of sass, I would say, for lack of better words, but, you know, we're getting there. Okay, so before we move on to the next segment, what's one hilarious parenting fail that you can laugh about now?
Oh my gosh, which one? Let's see. I think that one, to me, very hilarious fail. I don't know if they would agree, but in the name of saving money, we decided that we still want to give them adventures and trips and vacations, but the two of us, the parents, we've never really been into the camping thing either. So it's like, okay, you can still do this inexpensively because you can work your way down to where you want to eventually end up, but you can stay with some family members and you can break it up that way. And it got to be kind of ridiculous because once we tallied up what we did, like they made good memories. They had fun at one cousin's house and then the pool, and then another house. It was kind of awkward because even though it had been said yes, then we got there and they were busy doing all these things, and so we were kind of left on our own, and it was kind of boring for them, you know. But when we sat and figured it out, at some point we had driven about 700 and something miles out of our way in the name of saving money. That really was kind of silly because we could have had more quality time together, making other kinds of memories in some other way, and maybe, you know, spring for, okay, well, we're not going to be in Legoland today, but we're going to go out to the beach, which is free. And you know what I mean? Yep. Like in retrospect, it was just so funny to count those pennies and miss the dollars, you know?
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I want to transition into our next segment, which is about change and transitions. Change always asks something of us, right? Whether it's patience or courage or surrender. But in every shift, I feel God's steady hand is always there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you tie your story to transition? Or do you have any examples of trusting the Lord during these transitions?
Yes. It's a combination of two things of music, like I was saying about music. You probably are familiar with the Goodness of God song. You know, all my life you have been faithful, right? Every time.
I like CC Winans version of it.
Yes, me too. And every time that we sing that, you know, the tears, it's not, I don't sob, but it's moving. It's not sad tears. It's just that realization that, you know, at the time something seemed so devastating, from the 3 different guys I dated that all broke up because they were going to go to the seminary. And then when people were trying to set me up with Tom because, he already went to seminary. And, you know, I was like, no, stay away. When their love songs come on the radio, I'm singing them to Jesus because I'm done. And here we are, you know, 40 years married now, right? So just being able to think back, like all these things that at the time seemed so terrible have all led to such abundant grace in my life and to such abundant blessings in my life. So just, you have been so good, and your goodness is running after me. Like I cannot escape it. And so that reminder to be faithful, you know.
So what helps you recognize God's hand in the waiting or in the transition?
Prayer for sure, scripture for sure, music for sure. Even lighting the different candles I have over here on this altar I've set up. Really just engaging my senses and being present has been probably the best reminder. More than, you know, sometimes it's random, like somebody says something and okay, God, funny, you know. But for the most part, it's just making sure to have the devotional time. And sometimes I come to it. I have a box of tissue here as well. Because tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of gratitude, tears of anger, you know, wherever I am with things, but just constantly. One friend had written a little chant, I'm letting go, I'm letting God, I'm letting go, I'm letting God, you know, and it was just like over. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I think one of the things that I've seen, you know, just getting to know you and everything that you've been through is finding peace, right, through everything that's been happening. So how do you find peace when the path isn't clear? And, you know, you spoke about how in the end it all works out because God has a plan, and his plan is better than anything we can ever come up with. And his design is awesome. Exactly. But during it, how do you find peace?
Well, sometimes, first of all, I want to be totally transparent. Sometimes I don't right away. I go through different times of waking up. Typically, it seems to be like the 2 or 3 o'clock hour. I even took a sleep hygiene class. They said, don't look at the clock, you know, all these steps, and that I would try it first, but then my mind would start going, and then I'd be trying to do the chants in my head because I'm not going to wake up my husband, but, you know, okay, you know, and into thy hands I commit my spirit. I would, any kind of chant in my mind, trying to do over and over, the Our Father prayer, the, you know, trying to, and sometimes just getting up and saying, okay, God, you know, maybe you want my attention now. Maybe this is not just the fact that I'm worrying, but maybe you're trying to stop me. And maybe that's why I need to get out of the bed. So I just want to say that, yeah, there are times of overflowing tears and agony and and just thinking, when is this going to be over? Or why did this happen? Or why did they do that? Or like I said, referred to before, feeling guilt, like, well, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong that they are making this choice? I didn't say it was logical. I didn't say it was sane, but just the monkey mind, I've heard it called. There's just all this grasping and grabbing, and really it came down to, of course, continuing to realize you're trying to control it. Peace. Come on, peace. Peace, be still and know that I am God. I've got it.
That's awesome. I think you also spoke about, crying out in agony. I feel, and this is just my opinion, when you transition from just crying to the Lord and crying out in agony and angst and all your emotional, the ceiling of your emotional heights, I think that's when the Spirit kicks in. And the Spirit starts crying and praying on your behalf. And that is so powerful, because I feel that's when the real change happens. It's not that, whatever you're asking for happens. The real peace sets in, or your mindset has changed, or the way your outlook on life or on that situation has changed, because now you've got the peace that runneth over, that surpasses all understanding, right? And I think that is so powerful. I just wanted to, it just brought to mind that that's when that transition happens, that switch. And I mean, not that, people can't pray in the Spirit all the time, but at least for me, that's when it happens.
I like that. I really like that, Sheila, because it comes to, the proverbial being on your knees, like that idea of surrender to, just give it over, because only when you give it over is Spirit able to actually work so fully in you, and even forgiveness has been a big theme. I thought to myself, what does my life boil down to if I were to give, a few words and everything? That's definitely an operative word. And total forgiveness, not the forgiveness and still wanting the person to be punished, and not the forgiveness where, oh, look at me, I tithe, I do, no, just releasing the whole thing and actually praying for that person or those people that they be blessed. And they may never know that all this harm is going through me and I'm feeling all these things, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's not about keeping score. So.
And I think also, praying for somebody that has crossed you, I think in the beginning, I do it forcefully, and then eventually, my heart reaches the same place as my prayers. But that's a trick that I think has helped me a lot, especially, I'm not from this country, so I always feel like an outsider. So I always feel like everybody's out to get me, but that's not the truth. And we all know that. So, that little mindset trick that I play on myself actually helps me. And it's all for God, and it's all for prayer.
Right. I like that. I definitely like that. I think you should publish. I really do. I think you should, just a thought.
Awesome, Judy. So before we go on.
Hey, and don't you cut that out.
We'll see. That's why I'm the editor and the publisher. I'm kidding. We'll see. Okay, if you could go back and give one line of advice to your younger self before any of these big transitions happened in your life, what would it be?
You are my precious daughter, and you are worthy of love, and you are worthy of goodness. Put your hand in mine, and we'll go through this together.
That's fantastic, because the Bible says the Lord has his hand stretched out. We just need to reach out. We just need to grasp it. and
Yeah.
everything will be taken care of.
Yep.
That's so great. That's great advice. So before we close, I wanted to jump into a rapid fire round. This is going to be all fun. You got to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. Your favorite Bible verse right now.
Right now, Romans 8:28. All things work together for good to those who love God.
Exactly. And that's the funny part in that verse. I think, the world or our culture takes the first part of it and says, all things come to good. The last part of it, which is for those that love God. I think that's the key in that verse.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that. Okay. A worship song on repeat for you.
Amazing Grace, in particular, the Pentatonics version. I listen to it every day. And there are times where I stand up and my arms are raised and just gratitude, thanksgiving for that. They have, I don't know if you're familiar with it or if your listeners are, that if you go on YouTube and hear it, you'll see that they interweave another chorus in the middle of it, that my chains are gone, I've been set free, the Lord my Savior has ransomed me, and like a flood, his mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace.
Yep. I actually like the original version too, and I like it by Alan Jackson. That's one of my favorite versions. But the Pentatonics, or even David Crowder Band, I think they've done this version as well, where, my chains are gone, I've been set free. I think that's their version of it too. So, yep, I love both versions. And we sing Amazing Grace every night with our kids. And that's the one song that we sing over them. And hopefully, it becomes a memory for them.
Beautiful. You're both such good parents. You really are.
Thank you. I think we needed to hear that today.
Okay.
Okay, so coffee or tea, what's your favorite during quiet time?
A lot of times during quiet time, I've stopped bringing a drink with me because I was realizing, and I'm more of a tea drinker than a coffee drinker, although lately the decaf coffee seems to be kind of soothing. But I was noticing that I was getting so focused on, the warmth of this, and it's starting to chill, I should drink, that I was missing being receptive for the still small voice. So a lot of times I don't bring something in here with me.
Awesome. Okay. So what's a book you cannot say the Bible that's impacted your faith?
Fine.
So what's a book that's
books?
Yes, in fact, it has many books. What's a book other than the Bible that's impacted your faith?
Total Forgiveness.
That's a good book.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the best advice you have ever received?
Let go, let God. It really is. The woman who told me this was a minister friend, and she'd let me vent. She'd let me talk about whatever was concerning me, whether it was something at the school. And they have this lottery in our state, and it's supposed to help fund the schools. And, then when I want something that I think is really going to help our students, I have to write up a grant proposal. I have to prove it. And then I'll say it's going to, price it and say it's going to be the X amount of dollars. And they say, well, we'll give you this. And people are just silly. They're playing this game, this gambling game, thinking they're helping the schools. They're not. And I would just get so fired up and let go, let God, let go, to the point where I would first stop it. But eventually it's she is right.
Awesome.
It's important to speak up for what's right, but at the same time, it's not mine to do all these things. Only.
And it takes courage to speak what's right as well. What's right in culture today was what's right on how God sees what's right as well. So I think it's super important. It takes a lot of courage to stand up
Yes.
in this day and age.
Yes.
Awesome. So before we close, is there any advice you would like to give to our listeners that are listening in today? Or is there anything else you would like to share?
But the first thing that comes to mind is really, truly believe. Just believe. Believe and act on that belief that God's got your back. Because you just spoke about that word courage, and I know there have been times where I've not spoken words that I have been inspired to speak, and I don't. And it's for fear of rejection, or, oh, maybe they won't be my friend anymore, or maybe they won't like me, or they're going to think I'm weird. And like, why do I care about any of that? So I would say to people, if you are staying aligned and tuned in, or maybe you've strayed, so maybe make that more of a priority if you can. And easy for me to say now as a retired person, I can spend an hour in here now. That was a little tougher to do in working, but even if it had to be cracks of time, just making sure to stop, even if I had to put hands over eyes and just shut out the world in a really physical way, and focus on breath and realize it's the breath of spirit moving through me. That to me is so key to remaining as much at peace as possible.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So there's actually a song called Nobody. I think it's by Casting Crowns. And it talks about living for Jesus, an audience of one, right? So it doesn't matter what everybody else is thinking, saying, doing. You are living for Jesus. So even if people don't remember you, even if people are not friendly to you, even if you think it's the worst timing ever, you just need to speak up, because you only have an audience of one, and that's Jesus.
Right. Exactly. That's who we're here to please, not anyone.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for joining me for today's Joyful Purpose. Remember, no matter where life finds you, God's steady hand is holding yours. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend or leave a review. It helps others find encouragement too. And don't forget to subscribe at hopelightwonder.com for devotionals, recipes, and stories that remind you that joy and purpose work hand in hand. Thank you, Aunt Judy.
Oh,
Love you.
thank you.
And hey, if today's episode stirred something in you, I want you to know there's more where that came from. My books are written for women who are walking through exactly these kinds of seasons, with courage, with purpose, and with God's steady hand. You can find all of my books all in one place at hopelightwonder.com. Grab one for yourself or gift it to a friend who needs the reminder that she is not walking alone. I'll see you next week.